They told the world it was for the greater good. They said the people who suffered never knew, but the truth is far more terrifying than that. Hundreds of Americans were experimented on without ever giving consent. These were not criminals or prisoners of war. These were everyday people, sick people, who trusted their doctors. And the United States government watched it happen. Honestly, this story should have broken the country apart, but for decades, almost nobody talked about it. The government buried it, and the media looked the other way. And here is the part that will shake you. This was not some one-time mistake by a rogue scientist. This was an organized, funded, government-approved program. It ran for decades right here on American soil. The victims were real people with real families. They had no idea what was being done to their bodies. You think you know American history. Trust me, you don't. Not until you hear what happened in Tuskegee, Alabama. If stories like this one are what you live for, you need to subscribe to History Lab right now. We dig into the chapters of history that powerful people pray you never find. Hit that subscribe button, because what is coming next will change how you see America forever. Now let's get into it. It is 1932, and the United States is in the grip of the Great Depression. The Public Health Service wants to study syphilis in black men. They choose Macon County, Alabama, one of the poorest places in America. They recruit 399 black men who already have syphilis. They also recruit 201 men who do not have it, as a control group. The men are told they are being treated for bad blood. That is what the researchers actually called it, bad blood. They were not told they had syphilis. They were not told what the experiment was really about. And here is where it gets really disturbing. The men were given fake treatments, sugar pills, vitamins, aspirin. They were not being cured. They were being watched to see how syphilis destroyed the human body. Researchers wanted to know what untreated syphilis looked like from start to finish. They wanted data, and these men were the data. Free meals were offered to keep the men coming back. Free burial insurance was dangled in front of families living in poverty. That is how desperate and cruel this system really was. By 1947, penicillin had become the standard cure for syphilis. Every doctor in America knew it worked. Every hospital was using it. But the men in Tuskegee were deliberately kept away from it. Wait, this next part shocked even historians. The Public Health Service actually worked to block these men from getting treatment. During World War II, some of the men were called up to be drafted. That meant they would have received penicillin through the military. The Public Health Service contacted local draft boards to pull these men from the lists. They made sure the experiment could continue uninterrupted. Let that sink in for a second. These men had a chance to be cured, and the government took it away. Not because of negligence, because of deliberate choice. The experiment was designed to last until the men died. Researchers wanted to perform autopsies to complete their data collection. And so the experiment ran, year after year, decade after decade. Men went blind. Men suffered from heart disease. Men had their nervous systems slowly destroyed by a curable disease. Their wives were infected. Their children were born with congenital syphilis. But the truth about Tuskegee is far darker than you think. The experiment was not a secret to everyone inside the government. It was published in medical journals throughout the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Dozens of doctors and researchers knew exactly what was happening. Some expressed concerns, but none of them blew the whistle loudly enough to stop it. The system protected itself. Careers were built on this data. Promotions were earned. Papers were published. And 399 men continued to die slowly in Alabama.
It was not until 1966 that one man finally said enough. His name was Peter Buxton, and he was a venereal disease investigator for the government. He wrote internal letters demanding the study be shut down. He argued it was deeply unethical and racially motivated. The government told him to mind his business. They said the study was almost finished and would be wrapped up soon. That was a lie. The study kept going. Buxton kept pushing for 6 more years. In 1972, he finally gave the files to a journalist. And here is where it gets really disturbing. On July 25, 1972, the story hit the front page of the Washington Evening Star. The headline read, "Syphilis patients died untreated." America woke up to what had been done in its name. The public reaction was seismic. Congress launched investigations immediately. The study was shut down within weeks. By the end of 1972, it was officially over, but the damage was already done. 28 men died directly from syphilis. At least 100 more died from related complications. 40 wives were infected. 19 children were born with congenital syphilis passed from their fathers. The government was forced to settle a class action lawsuit in 1974. Each surviving participant received $10 million in today's value. That sounds like accountability, but not a single government official ever faced criminal charges. Not one doctor was stripped of their license for participating. The men who designed and ran this program retired with pensions. They died with their reputations mostly intact. No one went to prison. No one was held fully responsible.
In 1997, President Bill Clinton finally issued a formal apology to the survivors. 8 of the original participants were still alive to hear it. Clinton called the study shameful and morally wrong. He was right, but the apology came 65 years too late. The damage done to trust between Black Americans and the medical system still echoes today. Researchers have studied how Tuskegee reduced Black Americans' willingness to seek medical care. Studies show that after the 1972 exposure, Black men avoided hospitals in higher numbers. The life expectancy gap between Black and white men widened in counties with high Black readership of newspapers covering the scandal. Tuskegee did not just kill 399 men. It planted a seed of distrust that cost lives for generations afterward. And here is where it gets really disturbing. Because this was not the only one. The United States government funded radiation experiments on patients without their knowledge. The CIA ran psychological torture experiments under a program called MK Ultra. Tuskegee was not an accident of history. It was part of a pattern of treating some human beings as less than human. And the system that allowed it never truly dismantled. It was just made quieter. The men of Tuskegee did not die in battle. They did not die from some unstoppable disease. They died because people in power decided their lives were worth less than data. They died because an entire system looked the other way for 40 years. Their names deserve to be spoken, not just as victims, but as Americans who were failed by their own country. This is not ancient history. The youngest survivors were still alive in the 1990s. The children born with congenital syphilis grew up in our lifetimes. This happened in the America we inherited, and we owe it to them to never forget it. If you believe history should be told honestly, all of it, then History Lab is where you belong. Subscribe right now and join a community that refuses to look away. Drop a comment below telling us what you knew about Tuskegee before today, because the truth always deserves to be heard, no matter how long they tried to bury it.